Good morning, everybody. How are you? Leba Lurie here with another Facebook Live. Today I'm going to be talking about how to support your kids through their anxieties. This Facebook Live is inspired by a mom who signed up for a 2-cent session. I keep calling them 20-cent sessions. I don't know why. So I have to think about it before I say it. A 2-cent session, and she wrote me an email through my website. And she said, help. My kid is having nightmares, and he's scared of monsters, and he's not toileting, and he's up in the night, and he's crawling into my bed with his little brother, and I don't know what to do. Clearly, it's kind of getting in the way of normal functioning. I'm concerned about my son. So, sorry about that. So, we had a chat, and some really important ideas came up from that conversation. So first I want to encourage anybody who has not had an opportunity to sign up for a 2-cent solution. I don't know, I made it up. I don't know why I'm having trouble with this. A 2-cent session. There's still one spot available for February. So if you want it, it's yours. So you just need to PM me, or you can go onto my professional website, lebalurie.com, or motherhoodinthemaking.com, to the contact forms there, and you can get in touch with me. It's so easy. And yeah, and you can have a session if you have any questions or comments or queries, or you need some validation, you know, am I doing this right? Reach out. That's what I'm here for. So this mom wrote me an email. She reached out to me, and she was curious about what to do for her kid. And it's actually very common, you know, that we wonder if our kids if their fears are normal, and if we're doing everything that we can to help them. If you're on with me, say hi, so I know that you're with me. Sorry about that. So that's what I want to talk about with you. I want to talk about, you know, how do I help my kids? How do I know if it's normal? What do I do? So first of all, you know, fears, you know, are they normal? Are they not? What anxiety that kids experience from their fears is, the definition is an apprehension with no apparent cause. I'm not sure I like that definition so much, but that's the definition. That's anxiety. It's apprehension with no apparent cause. So there's no real threat, but it really feels very real. And I think we've all been there. I mean, I've been there where, I'm late for an appointment and I experience anxiety. I experience this real feeling of fear that I'm going to be late and I'm going to miss something, there'll be some huge consequence. And while there's no real threat, I experience anxiety. I experience a real sense of fear. And so our children are experiencing the same thing. And it is normal. Developmentally, there are stages in child development where anxiety and fear is normal. Like a baby has stranger anxiety, right? Your kid is about 8 months old and suddenly they don't want to be held by anybody but you. Toddlers have separation anxiety between 10 to 18 months. They don't want to be separated from you. I'm sorry, stranger anxiety, stranger anxiety are strangers. They're scared around strangers. Separation anxiety is they don't want to be separated from mom. That happens around 10 to 18 months. Even 8 months is very common, that a baby does not want to be separated from their mom. 4 to 6 years old, that's when monsters, ghosts, you know, the boogeyman, that's when kids are having these imagined fears. Sort of their fantasy world is very scary. They don't know the difference between real and imaginary. And then between 7 and 12, you have kids who are scared of real things, like terror, war, natural disasters. You know, they're really clued into what's going on in the world, and they start to see, like, wow, this world is a scary place for real, and I'm scared. And those are normal developmental stages of fear and anxiety, and that's how kids will express them. That's how we know, like, okay, this is okay anxiety. You know, that my baby doesn't. I traveled to Australia after making Aliyah, not long after, and I lived in Australia, so we went back to visit my in-laws about 1.5 years after making Aliyah, and I had a baby, and she wanted nothing to do with my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law was so hurt, and she was so distraught, and I was, you know, it was upsetting, but I understood that, you know, it was her age, that she did not want to separate from me. You know, I was her world, and she did not feel safe separating from me. It was very scary to be with someone she did not know. So that was, you know, that's a normal That's a normal anxiety for a kid. But, when does it not, when does it go from normal developmental anxiety to, something that we should be concerned about, where we should be like, how do I help my kid, and am I able to help them? Do I need help? Hey, Lily. If this anxiety persists and it starts to take a toll on their well-being, that's a sign. If it starts to take a toll on their daily functioning, on their social, academic, personal functioning, it's a problem. And it's not a problem for you, it's as well a problem for your child. And what I'll always say is that it's a problem for the family, because, we have a really hard time supporting a kid who is anxious, who's very anxious. And we need to know as parents, is this a normal developmental sort of stage of anxiety that I can just, sort of rest assured that this is normal and this will pass, and, all I have to do is just hear them out and reassure them and accompany them, just take them through the stage? Or is this something, is this evidence of something more prevalent, something deeper? So that is a really good question. Hey, Candy. The never-ending question, how do I help my children? Thanks for the live session. Oh, it's so nice to see you, Candy, in Perth. So good to see you. I'm so happy that Usher is doing well. I just saw that he was in hospital with pneumonia. I hope you don't mind me saying that on the Facebook Live, but I'm really happy that he's doing well. I just want to get something, I feel like I need to clarify something about anxiety. Really very, this is something that really touches me. Our kids' anxiety bothers us. So often it bothers us. And the first thing we need to know is how is my child's, anxiety affecting me? That's the first and foremost. Because we need to separate our own reaction to our kid's behavior from our kid, so that we can really help them. You really want to be there for your kid. You've got to separate out and be like, what's going on for me here? Because for me personally, when my kid has an anxious, panicky fit, it pisses me off. I'm just like, get over it. This is getting in my way. I have a daughter who is anxious. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what I'm doing to help her. So hang 10, but she is very anxious. And there was a stage where it was very bothersome to me. It really disrupted our family functioning. And I would react. And it was not helpful at all, because then it's about me. And it's about my anxiety, about her anxiety. And that's not helpful for a child. The first thing that your child needs is for you to be able to sort of contain your own fears about your child. And whatever your child is experiencing, you can help them. And it's either you helping them by gaining the tools that I'm going to give you a few now, or that you reach out to external help. And I'm going to tell you when it's time to do that. So how can we help our kids? Well, first of all, you have to acknowledge that their fear is real. It's real. And, we can do that by thinking about examples in our own life when we feel anxiety around something that's not real. Like a perceived threat, like being late, stuck in traffic, I feel anxious, or the fear of being judged. You walk into a room of strangers, what are they going to think about me? That's anxiety. We feel like we experience anxiety. And it's not, we don't actually know what anyone's thinking. So it's a perceived anxiety that people will reject me, people will judge me, people won't like me. When things get crazy politically, there can be a fear around what's the fate of the world, what does the future hold? That's a very normal adult fear. So we can really relate to the sense, the experience of anxiety and the palpable fear that we experience in ourselves. And you can touch into that into your body. That's where you'll feel it. And the idea is to connect to your own experience of anxiety, so you can empathize for your child, so that you can really connect to the real experience for them. Because you're going to need to really understand and accept that they are really scared. I know there's no boogeyman. We all know there's no ghost. I hope so. We all know there's no monster. We know your child is safe, but your child doesn't feel safe. They're really very scared. Now that can be very threatening for a parent, because you're like, what? I don't give you this feeling of support and safety? Now that's about me. That's about me and my inadequacy, my fears of inadequacy as a parent. But that's about me. Tachlis, your kid is feeling scared. And it's so important that if we're going to help our child, that we acknowledge that their fear is real. And then, you talk about it. And when we say talk about it with a kid, I mean listen. I mean ask questions. with curiosity. Like, you don't really know what's going on for them. You know, sometimes we tell our kids, you're scared. Maybe not. Maybe not. You know, I don't know where I was, and the mom was saying to her kid was pissed off. Her kid was really, really pissed off because he wasn't getting what he wanted, and he was crying. And the mom said, you're sad? You're sad. She was telling him that he was sad. And I thought, no, he's not sad. You're wrong. And stop telling him how he feels. So it's very important that when we talk about feelings with our kids, we're asking, we're inquiring. We're not telling them. We're asking them, you know, are you scared? You know, are you scared? What's it like for you? What's your fear like? Because I know what it's like for me. What's it like for you? Most kids don't want to talk about it because it's scary to even talk about it. Kids can draw it. They can act it out. This mother who I spoke to, you know, kudos to her. She had tried everything. Her kid was scared of monsters. They got, you know, monster spray. They put a sign on the door, no monsters allowed. She really worked with her kids' fantasies and really acknowledged that her, yeah, totally Candy. She really acknowledged her son's experience. So tick the box for her. She did a great job. You know, she asked him to draw the monsters. You know, she really gave him an opportunity to feel heard. Like, I'm with you. I totally understand. You know, I accept what you're going through, and I want to know more. And that's the approach we want to take. We really want to, with a stance of curiosity, explore it with our kids. You know, like, tell me more about it. I'm here to listen, not to judge, not to criticize. You know, just to hear it out. And that's what it means to talk to your kids. And we, of course, don't want to belittle their experience. Like, we don't want to say, I'm guilty of this, okay? I'm not perfect. I've learned. But being like, oh my gosh, this is so stupid. Just get into your bed. Like, it's enough already, you know? Because that's me feeling very frustrated and feeling overwhelmed and feeling out of control and irritated that this anxiety is disrupting the functioning, that you're not going to sleep at night, for example. When my day is done, I want you in bed and you're scared to be alone. And so we mustn't belittle our kids' experience. Certainly just be aware that if you do, it's okay. You know, it's okay if you do. I have. And I understand now that that's about me and that's about my frustrations. And it's so important that I own that for myself so that I can really be there for my kid, like I spoke about a moment ago. You can also ask your kids to rate their fear. And that's good for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's demonstrating that you acknowledge their fear. It's also teaching them the skill of self-awareness. And also it helps them to separate from the fear. It helps them to say, you know, I'm going to subjectively, or I should say objectively, rate my fear. It gives them an opportunity to separate from the fear, because when we have strong emotions, they take over. And you think of an example in your life where you've had a fear that has just taken over your perception, and that it clouds everything. It colors everything. So this is similar to what your kid is experiencing, and you know, this is for your kid. This is also for you a really great tool. That if we can step aside and say, how, you know, we can encourage our kids to say, how would you rate your fear, or however they label it, and you can do that for yourself. How irritated am I right now? You know, on a scale of 1 to 10. Kids may not have numbers or the orders of numbers, so you can think of a cup. Like, how full is the cup? How full is the jar? So they can conceptualize it not in mathematically or, you know, with numbers, but through images. So that's something that you can do. I'm also going to include a link to a resource that I've seen before, and then my friend shared with me again, about 45 things to do with kids with anxiety. There are some things there. They're kind of mixed. They're relevant for different types of anxiety in different situations, but it's a really great resource, and I'm going to include that in the comments. So those are some other things that you can do. So yeah, you want to know now, wait a minute, but how, you know, what if I've tried all that? You know, what if I've done my due diligence and my kid is still having trouble? Now, this mom called me and she said that, you know, not only is her kid scared of monsters and is her kid waking up in the night and coming into bed, which developmentally is very normal. Waking up at night is you know, that's up for discussion. You know, that's up for discussion. It's very likely that a kid waking up at night is waking up and they can't tell themselves they're feeling very scared. So that is, you know, that is sort of makes me think, wow, my kid is really struggling with this. My kid is really scared. Their fear is really real. I mean, that's the conclusion we should be drawing as parents, not judging them in any way that, oh my gosh, this is so bad. we don't want to judge it. We just want to observe it. We want to just notice that this is what it's like for them. She also said that her child wasn't using the bathroom, which means he's not releasing his, what do you call it? Excrement? He doesn't want to poo. And when that happens, that tells me, as a psychologist, that tells me that a kid is exercising their sense of control. That for some reason they need more control, and that they're scared to release control. And that is really disruptive. Your kid is going to daycare, let's say. I mean, this mother who called me, her kid is going to kindergarten, and he's not using the toilet. So, of course, we ask the normal questions. Are the toilets clean? Are they private? Is it because he doesn't feel private? I want to make sure that I'm not catastrophizing when we talk about a kid's anxiety. We want to make sure that, we distinguish between normal developmental anxiety that we just can help our kids through and walk them through and support them through. And then the persistent anxiety that is really disrupting daily function. And in this case, he's not toileting, which means that, he's not functioning normally. I don't like that word normal, but I'm going to use it just for the sake of conversation. And so I think there's something up here. There's something up where your kid is really not feeling safe. Now, I don't know what it is. But I see that your kid is really struggling with this. And I've learned over time, as a parent and a professional, the importance of giving children the opportunity to get help outside of their family system. And that sometimes it's really important and really valuable to our kids that they get help. Now, I'm guessing that lots of people have lots of questions on this one. So please ask me, because I want to know what's going through your head when I put this up. Excuse me. I personally was very reluctant to get help for my daughter. It meant to me that I was failing as a parent. It meant that something inside of me I was not doing a good job. It could possibly be because I'm a psychologist and I have a certain expectation of myself in supporting my kids. But there was something very deep in where I thought that I felt very threatened, that I thought I could handle it. I thought it was me. I thought I was a problem. Now, I got my ducks in a row and I tick, 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 tick. We got it all sorted, and it was very clear to me that my daughter needs help. She needs help outside of my relationship to her. It's very possible that my relationship is the source of the anxiety, not just the source of the anxiety, but maintaining the anxiety. Now, that could be scary for you. I'm aware as I say that. So I don't mean to say that you're the cause of your child's anxiety, but that sometimes our kids need to step out of the close-knit world, family that makes up their world, and they need to experience themselves differently in a completely new, fresh, different supportive type of relationship with a therapist. So I've got my kid in with a play therapist. I'll keep you posted. I'll let you know how it goes. I've met with her, and she's going to start next week, hopefully. And that was what I suggested to the mom who called, that she should reach out. And I gave her a name of someone who I know and trust, and suggested that she get her kid some help. Now, why? Why? First of all, because your kid's having a really hard time. He's having a hard time. And you can't help him. You've done the best that you can, and you can't help him. Now, that doesn't mean that you've failed in any way. Reaching out for help is a sign of success. And as a psychologist and mom and therapist, asking for help is courageous, brave, beyond. And if you've ever reached out for help, or if you've signed up for a 2-cent session, yes, I got it right. Or if you've, called a therapist, or if you've reached out to a friend for support, you've been very brave. If you've posted in this group, like Hannah, then you have been very brave. Reaching for help, reaching out for support is an act of courage. So in no way have you failed. In no way is it a demonstration of your weakness. It's actually a demonstration of strength in saying, this is my limit. In fact, someone once said to me, and this really resonated with me, a sign of a professional is someone who knows where to draw the line. They know where their knowledge ends, and they have to seek knowledge of someone else. That's what makes a professional. That's what makes a professional mom. When you know to say, this is beyond me. This is something I can't do. So you call a sleep consultant, or you call a lactation consultant, or you call a therapist, or Sorry, I'm looking at Candy's message. Yes. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah, reaching out for help is definitely a strength. And not only is it because I can't help my kid needs help and I can't help them, but I don't have to help them. You don't have to. Let me be the one to say, let this one go. You don't need to carry this anymore. And that was something that was what came up in this conversation with this mom that made me think, I've got to share this, because this is a very important message that really resonates with me and something that I think is very important to share with mothers. You don't have to do this. You don't have to hold this anymore. I think of homework, and I think of how kids come home with like a half a day's work and you have to now sit with them. And I'm like, I'm not a teacher. I'm a mother. I'm going to mother my kids. You be the teacher. Now, obviously we're teachers, but when I'm talking about, suddenly I have this big weight on my shoulder that I have to now take responsibility for. And I'm saying, no, you don't. And not just with homework. I'm talking about, your kid's emotional well-being. Sometimes it can get too much for your kid and it can get too much for you. And you can let go of that. And you can put it into the hands of a professional that you trust. And I'm thinking maybe a Facebook Live about, how to choose the right professional for you and your kid. Because I think that's, that can be a big block. But, you don't have to hold this anymore. You can let this go. You can go back to just being, not being your kid's therapist, not being a professional. You can just go back to being your kid's mom. And I think that, relieving ourselves of the fear and the responsibility is important. And so that's something that I want to encourage everyone to consider. I want to, I really want to drive home the idea of being able to recognize what's going on for you when your kids feel anxious. That's my big message, checking in with yourself and making sure that you've got your reactions in check and what comes up for you, and being there for your kids with openness and curiosity, what in mindfulness is called the beginner's mind, as if you're coming to a new country and everything is new and you're getting to know everything and it's like all at once and you're just sucking it in slowly, taking it in with curiosity. That's how we want to approach our kids' experiences, and we want to be there for them. Your kid needs to go to the toilet, doesn't want to be alone, go with them. Especially if it's developmentally, in any case, if your kid says, I need help them. We don't want to belittle them. Like, I have a 4-year-old who doesn't want to go on her own to the toilet sometimes, and I can get very frustrated with her inside, sometimes on the outside,